So guys, welcome to the Alpha Chamber. To me, every facility, every shop, I know in Knoxville we call it the shop, every place should have this area, this place where athletes, players, families can actually sit and maybe work on what I think is the most important part of the game. The Alpha Chamber, as we call it in our facilities, is a reflection on brainwaves. We know that at alpha, low theta, we're in a much better state to be able to perform. When people talk about being present, when they talk about effortless power, right? All good things happen both physiologically and emotionally at this alpha level. So the Alpha Chamber is a place where usually prior to or after we have the players come and sit down. And we introduce them to the power of not only the breath and really starting to get them to understand that the breath has three pieces to it. Think about it almost as a symphony. We have an inhalation, right, the in, we have the hold, and we have the exhale. And think about how many different variables you can create with an in, a hold, and an out. For example, based upon the activity. If I'm a base runner, I don't want to have a deep exaggerated breath. I need to be doing what? I want to be firing up those neurons, those fast twitch muscle fibers to get ready to run. So a double inhale aggressively is much better than possibly a pitcher that will look at, you know what, I'm going to take a slow inhalation, hold it, and then make the exhalation out. So this is where we start teaching and letting players understand how important it is not only to breathe, but freedom of choice. That this is America. Everyone has a choice. And for them to be able to understand, you know what, I want to double out. That's okay. People are always asking, well, what's the best way to breathe? We have no right as teachers to be telling anybody how to breathe. We know that hyperventilation, holding your breath, is not very good because eventually you do that for an extended period of time. What typically happens? You die. But everything in between, learning how magical and how individualized the inhalations should be, and the hold and the exhale, we sometimes spend more time just getting them to understand the difference. You'll see the other pictures that are here. Sunsets, mountains, and oceans. Open focus is a term that we'll talk about later on, but this is really the beginning of getting people to learn how to pay attention. When we ask the players to just simply look at that ocean, or look at the sunset, or the beautiful mountains in the Hudson Valley area, we don't have to tell them how to pay attention, right? They certainly understand that they're seeing that whole picture and not being over fixated on any particular part of that image is exactly what the normal natural eyes want to do, right? So getting them to be able to look at that image and eventually closing their eyes and realizing, you know what, I can create in my mind's eye that gorgeous sunset ocean there, which becomes a good prompt, or as we call it, a prep to the flow when they get ready to start performing. But for them to realize and think about it, open focus is premised on how and what we pay attention to affects our mood and mindset. You sit here for 2 minutes and you're looking at these extremely picturesque and calm external stimuli, it affects how you feel. And it's kind of an interesting way of looking at it. Right? Typically, you control your emotions and your anxiety by controlling your anxiety and emotions. What if you flipped it over and said, wait a minute, the eyes are part of the brain, right? The eyes are connected, the eyes are the window to the soul. What if how and what we were paying attention to, and we changed how we did that, would that affect mood and mindset and our ability to regulate stress? So open focus and getting players to understand the power of learning how to just simply see. See is much different than looking, right? I'm seeing my two friends here, I'm seeing the camera, I'm seeing this gorgeous facility, I see young Anthony chatting, as compared to now switching into look mode, where like a camera, I'm kind of fixated and just simply looking at the extent of where that lens could be. So seeing is really the beginning of learning open focus, because when we see, as all the research tells us, it has a tremendous calming effect to our brain frequency. Open focus with Dr. Femi back in the 70s, he proved with EEG readings that if we get to alpha, if we learn that open focus and getting players and people to pay attention to space and the difference between seeing and looking, it was the beginning of reducing anxiety and stress. And what I found is that it also was a great way to have athletes have better visual search strategies, that they were able to see more and track moving objects better in this open focus mode.
That was good.